Well, it's the first Saturday in Advent. That would be a first Saturday with the Virgin Mary also. I consider all first Saturdays of the month. I don't know if the church has just not certain seasons like Advent, but I consider this a special day to think about Mary. But I'm also considering all the newness of Advent, of how things have changed out here, and how we're constantly changing. And here's some of there's little Mercy. They don't have their little Christmas jackets on. Costco had a sale. And keeps them warm. I keep my house extra cool, save a little bit of money on gas too, but probably used it up at least the first month in their little jackets. But here's just the change of seasons. The mom is done. And I like how the frost has tipped things. This is what I was thinking of the other day when I mentioned it in a video, just how everything gets coated. Little tips. Everything is changing out here. And I tend to leave, maybe it's from being from the Midwest person, I tend to leave my perennials go all winter and then cut them back right before they would begin to show signs of leafing out again. Well, you probably can't even see that thing. It looks like a stick. It's a rare tree. It's a very old, from long time, centuries. Like one of the first cultivars of a sugar maple, and it grows like 2 or 3 feet a year. When I got it, it was like 2 feet tall, and that was just 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So it grows rapidly, and it just stays a foot tall. It has these huge leaves on. So sort of fun varieties of what God has created. That's what I'm just so impressed with, is just how things change and how we change. And Advent is a time of coming into closeness with Christ in a different way. And theologically, the church says, has in the early centuries began Advent as being to think about in a serious way, to think about the 4 last things. Even that was emphasized early on in the fourth century, the early 300s. And I think that was with the Bishop of Saragossa emphasized that we ought to be thinking about our spiritual lives, our souls, preparing for the second coming of Christ. Back then, the second coming of Christ was very much on people's minds, being so close to the time of Christ being here on earth. And, they thought it was going to happen soon. Well, no one really knew, but they just assumed it would be soon. So that was the first emphasis of Advent, of preparation, preparing our own souls, and as the body of Christ, as a church, preparing for the second coming of Christ, and how we have been as individual Christians and as a group, as a community of Christians. But then St. Peter Chrysologus had also this feeling that Advent should be for the celebration of Christ's birth, of actually coming to earth first and saving us, why he came. So to celebrate Christ's nativity soon came after, and then it became blended. Both theologies were adopted. And I do think in our time period, at least in the 29 years I've been a Catholic, the second coming, the Parousia, has not been so emphasized during Advent. It's been more celebrating the coming of Christ. And that's included in scriptures, although I think the readings from Isaiah, well, they foretell the coming of Christ. Every now and then there'll be something from Revelation. So But I'm doing more this year I'm going to ponder the 4 last things more, which I think is appropriate since I'm old, and also, thinking of people who are ill and the sudden onset of a serious cancer with my friend, thinking of her, even though I've accepted that she doesn't want to think in that way. She wants to just be in the present, and that's also very good for her prayer. She wants to live. She wants a miracle, and we're supposed to pray and live in confidence. So I tend to be more of a serious ponderer type anyway. My life changed for over 40 years ago in a drastic way that put me in a place where God wanted me to be in my life and my mission in life. And that wasn't as an active person in the here and now so much as he formed me. He had me born a mystic. I didn't realize that until, of course, I grew older and realized that I was on a bit of a different wavelength and perceived things differently. And so I've had to accept that. Different is okay. And others of you have written, and I appreciate it so much, other people also that realize that they were on this different wavelength. God creates us all differently for different missions, different purposes in life. So, and it's up to us to work with God, not to try to fight and to be something we're not. Hard as that is to do. So, there's that tree that had such huge leaves on it. Mocha I think it's called, mocha rose it's called. So, well, we'll head back in. Dogs are ready for their breakfast to get started. God bless his real presence in us, and God bless Advent, our coming forward into Christ more and more.